Angela Schaefer is a hugger. Not touching people has put a little cramp in her style. While she has maintained a respectful and appropriate distance from most people for the past year, she stands by the belief and is backed by the scientific facts that physical human interaction is essential for survival from the beginning and will be to the end of time. In her 9 to 11-minute speech, Angela the Hugger shares some of the many reasons that hugs are healthy. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you, Lou. Hey, hugs are healthy. Good morning, everyone. Today, I'd like to talk about the importance of physical connection. To go along with today's theme, I looked up human touch in the 1920s, and I found something very interesting that I wasn't expecting. I will share some of what is known about the importance of human touch and a couple other stories and discoveries from my research. What sparked my interest in sharing about this was an interaction I had in Kohl's department store while clothing shopping by myself. I noticed a really cute shirt, the one I'm wearing today, but the fitting rooms were closed, so I couldn't try it on. There were 2 sizes left, and I was wondering which would be more appropriate. A woman was shopping next to me, and she noticed the shirt as well. When she moved on, I knew it was fair game. Knowing I couldn't use the fitting room, I still wanted another person's opinion about how the shirt looked on me. I was faced with a dilemma. 2 strangers in a clothing store in the aftermath of a pandemic with no fitting rooms available. Being my personable self, I said, "Excuse me, may I please ask you a question?" She said, "Of course," and she smiled, very welcoming. I asked her what size she thought would look better on me. And then she asked me, she looked and she considered, and I held up the shirts and she said, "Is it okay if I touch you?" And I said, "Yes." She looked at the shirt from all angles, and we discussed it for a moment and decided together that I would go with a size that looked more comfortable and appropriate for work. It was one small interaction between strangers, but it was like we were friends who regularly shopped together. Our interaction was so warming to me because after a year, a long time where people have been so careful to keep themselves to themselves and avoid each other at all costs, what I really appreciated was our human kindness and the connection that happened between us. I really also appreciated her asking me in a respectful way if her touching me was okay. And that exchange reminded me of how important it is to connect with each other as human beings. Physical connection is extremely important during all stages of life. It's a necessity for survival. We know that human babies cannot survive on their own for many years after birth without consistent care and nurturing in all forms. Babies in neonatal intensive care units get to go home sooner when they are touched and have more interaction. They are healthier and they thrive more than babies who are not touched or nurtured. I have always loved being close to my people. I remember vividly as a young mom sitting on the couch with my then husband, our 1-year-old daughter Maddie between us. That was 18 years ago. And I looked at the 3 of us sitting together. Both her dad and I had a hand on Maddie's back. But what I loved most was that her little arms were outstretched, reaching with her little hands resting on each of our legs. It was so natural for us to all connect physically and be connected in some way. I never will forget that precious moment. To this day, the connection I have with my children is that strong. Being a single mom and not having a partner in my life emphasizes the reminder to me that I need to hold my kids, and no matter how old they get, they need mom's hugs too. It's such a special connection, and I'm thankful they share it. Our need to be touched doesn't fade as we age. Physical interaction is truly at the heart of what makes humans feel safe, healthy, happy, connected, and successful in life. Humans have a need to belong. We are tribal beings. A healthy physical bond between parents and children forms a stabilizing emotional foundation for children that can set them up for success and meaningful human interaction with the world for their entire lives. People who are touched in loving and healthy ways are set up to thrive. Our bodies and our immune systems need touch to stay healthy and to fight off infection. This world has been so closed down. People have isolated themselves from each other, but we need each other. The phrase, "it takes a village," is very true. Touch and connection is essential to survival, even between strangers in a department store. From a warm handshake or sympathetic hug or a pat on the back, we have developed a complex language, culture, and emotional expression through physical contact. But in an isolated, tech-saturated, fearful, closed-off world, non-sexual human touch has become more rare. However, it's vital to preserve human touch in order for us to truly thrive. Without human touch, people can become depressed, anxious, and stressed. This has been huge in my life this last year. When we don't get enough human touch, it can make our heart rates, blood pressure, muscle tension, and breathing rate increase and negatively impact our digestive system and our immune systems. Without touch, we can struggle with insomnia, sadness, sickness, and grief, truly feeling isolated and closed off from our tribes. Scientific research correlates healthy touch with decreased violence. The absence of physical bonding and healthy attachment between adults and children could result in lifelong emotional disturbances. Touch creates greater trust between individuals, helping to bond people together and increase feelings of reward, compassion, and love. Physical touch is also proven widely to decrease pain. Economic gain is linked with touch because it strengthens bonds and helps us feel soothed, literally. It signals safety and trust. Basic warm touch calms cardiovascular stress and activates the body's vagus nerve linked to our compassion response. Hugs decrease disease and increase and strengthen our immune system. Women who receive more hugs from their partners have lower heart rates and blood pressure. Hugs regulate and balance the body's production of white blood cells, keeping us healthy and disease-free. Researchers found at the University of California School of Public Health that getting eye contact and a pat on the back from the doctor may boost the survival rate of patients with very complex diseases. Touch leads to stronger team dynamics. Several studies show that NBA teams whose players touch each other with encouragement and support win more games because of enhanced cooperation and connection. When teachers touch students platonically, it encourages learning. And one study said that the students are 3 times more likely to speak up in class. Physical touch is the foundation of human development and culture. As I mentioned earlier in my research of human touch in the 20s, it yielded an interesting discovery of cuddle rooms. In the 1920s and still today, people scheduled non-sexual platonic cuddle sessions with professionals and strangers. Professional cuddlers still exist today, providing non-sexual cuddle therapy. Cuddling releases oxytocin and facilitates the development of authentic connection and the type of secure attachment that some people may have never had in its fullness. It's a form of therapy that can provide a base for health, wellness, and happiness. However, cuddling with strangers is not for everyone, least of all me. Last week, I was sitting at work, not touching my coworkers because cuddling is not actually appropriate in my line of work. I definitely needed a hug though. It'd been a long week and I hadn't seen my kiddos for a while. I was very excited to go home and love on my kids. As I walked in the door, My 16-year-old son was standing in our kitchen with his arms outstretched, ready to wrap me up in a cozy hug. My 12-year-old son was standing right behind him, waiting his turn to hug mom. And I asked them, "Did you miss your mom?" We smiled and knew that our hugs are so precious and very necessary. Holding each other is something that we do a lot. It's a way we feel safe and secure, and it's important in our tribe. I believe that as our world opens up more and more, one thing we will all benefit from is connecting with those we love and restoring our bonds one hug at a time. Thank you.